Good morning and welcome to Bars and Bells. My name is Ian.
I'm Lauren.
And this is the weekend workout. We play with our body weight, we have some open space, and we'll build those skills to culminate in the handstand. But first we'll start with a warm-up, hands and toes, core muscles and rolls. Let's get started. With the feet, do a ball of foot type of movement. That's that demi-point lunge. Then do the toe point, as in those handstands, that toe point can help out so much, and then gently ask to flex over the toes next. Then push back in the ground and push into the floor to extend the hip. Straight knees, squeeze butts. Repeat on the other side. It's the ball of foot, then the toe point, then gently flexing over, cramping up that arch of yours, and then find the toes, and I'm pushing that foot forward to use my glutes to extend. One more time each side, a ball of foot, a toe point, and over, and then articulating through the toes to the balls of feet and firmly connecting the heel. Pull, find middle, knee point, gently over on those toes, and back to the balls of feet, and push through. Knee bends next, so go knees over toes, maybe a hip hike, here we go. But then find the center position, and then squeeze your glutes and press through. One more time, my cue here is think pulling your feet backwards to soften those ankle ligaments in the front, and then push through and squeeze your glutes. We'll do that again as we pull ourselves down, but this time casually lift up those heels as we descend in our little toe squat here. And now that we're down, we'll go knees down, hips through, and it's time to warm up those hands, because it's handstands after all. So we'll hinge on the hips, land fingers, calluses, and full hands. And from here, Lauren, what do we do?
With those hands open nice and wide, remembering when we balance, as we've been practicing over the last 4 weeks, that we use our full hand. So feel that full hand connection to the floor right now. Push your pinkies down, your ring fingers, middle fingers, index fingers, thumbs. Feel the callus line just below your fingers connected to the floor, as well as the butt of that hand. Now with your shoulders down out of your ears, gently rotate your elbow pits backwards. Try and keep your elbows relatively straight. And then keeping the shoulders down, gently try to rotate the elbow pits forward. And when you get them forward, try to screw them into the hands even more, trying to straighten and keep them there. Let's do one more time, rotating them backwards. And then rotate them forward. And with those elbow pits forward, shoulders down, nice and straight. As we stay here, let's press up in those first knuckles, peeling the palms away, and then control it down. Repeat that 3 more times. Don't bend those elbows. Keep the elbow pits rotated to the front of your room. 1 more after this one, and we'll bend and flick the floor away, shaking that out. We'll do 1 full rotation of the hand briefly as our fingers land, callus, and full palm. Gently shrug your shoulders up as you would in your handstand, and then pull them down out of your ears. With your shoulders pulled down, your fingers heavy, lightly rock back, keeping the elbows nice and straight and the palms connected. And then we'll rock back forward, bend the elbows, peel the palms away, peel fingers, flick, and shake that out. Nice.
Nice, nice. While we're down here, let's just get into some nice gentle hips in that lunge stance. So pull a leg through into our lunge, and we'll tuck under the back hip with a glute squeeze while compressing or pulling in the femur on the front. From here, keeping a nice straight line, Lauren's sideline shows this the best. Pull yourself forward, shoulder, hip, and knee staying in a nice straight line, and then push forward through the front leg, cramping the back butt cheek so we stay nice and tall. Let's repeat that 1 more time. Cramp your back butt cheek again, pull the front leg backwards that we go forwards, and then stay tall. Keep that hip nice and extended. Then we'll take that leg out to the side and maybe do some hip hikes here again. And we're always aiming to get those hips beautifully level. Then the back leg tucks under like cat or posterior tuck, and we'll pull the foot and the knee together to drift towards over to my left. Then push to that bent knee side and avoid this hip dumping out. So stay nice and active on those side butts. Then pull ourselves across 1 more time, and then push, finishing nice and tall. Then we'll return that leg to the front, bring it underneath, switcheroo, same effort. The front leg pulls in, the back hip squeezes, pushing forward. Then that foot in the front pulls backwards, that we go forwards, and we push energy in the foot forwards, we'll go back. Repeating sets of 2, feel that nice pull-push tension Open those toes, ground yourself on the floor, squeeze your back butt cheek, and then push through to a nice tall stance. Then open towards the side. A quick thing here, make sure that your knee and foot are going in about the same direction there. Track nicely with the knees over the toes as we lean to the side, and I'm pushing towards Lauren to move away. Repeat our second one. It's our pull, little bit of a lean, and then we'll push, finishing nice and tall. And then bring it underneath. Lauren's gonna tighten things up with our abs in just a second, but first, let's just get a nice little core roll going. As we set this up here, we want to make sure that we're rolling over our shoulder blade to our hip and not over our head, neck, spine. So, with a hand turned up at the hip, sniff an armpit to tuck that chin, and try to get the top of the shoulder blade to the ground. And then push through, sit up your hands nice and wide again, and same thing. So my palm is turned up at a hip, I'll bend the elbow with the hand connected to the floor, and I'm making sure that my neck isn't loaded here, but it's my shoulder blade connected to the floor. I'm gonna move out of the way in case Lauren decides to progress that skill in towards a nice little forward roll. And it's more like a judo roll than a gymnastics roll as you roll from over the shoulder and back. Lauren might continue in that front direction, and soon enough, maybe we can go front and back, back and front. Take a couple more times, and there's no urgency to learning this roll. But we want that spine and that core to be nice and supple, as much as in a second, Lauren's gonna tighten it up with some tension for the core.
That was my fancy roll.
Nice.
All right, let's get into that. You know what? Let's do a plank first and get up into that down dog position or that 3-point position, and then we'll come to that hollow hold. So right now we're in our plank, which means our hands are under our shoulders, hands gripping the floor as they will in that handstand practice. So open them up, grip. Lift your hips up into your plank and hold. Lightly pull your shoulders out of your ears, engaging your lats. Squeeze your butt cheeks. Brace your abs. Create tension all the way through your body for 3, 2, first time here, lead with the hips, lifting them. Lift up towards that A-frame position. Now, right now, prioritize your tailbone tip to the ceiling. Have a gentle bend in your knees. Your heels might not even be touching. Then slowly keep the hips where they are and really slow-mo try to straighten the knees. Gentle, 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 and then rebend them. Tip the tailbone to the ceiling one more time. Gently, slowly try to straighten the knees. And that doesn't mean push the heels to the floor. That means trying to keep the tailbone tipped and straighten from the back. And then we'll come through to that plank position again and hold. For 3, tight, tight, tight. 2, we're going to go back up to the A-frame. This time, take a leg off the floor with you. You're in your 3-point position. Hips are square to the floor. Again, that back heel might not be touching, that's okay. We're reaching that other leg long and straight towards the ceiling, keeping the hips closed. Pull yourself back through to your plank. Hold, tight, tight, tight. Lots of tension. I could pick you up into a handstand. One more time, flick the floor away. Keep the hips closed. Reach that leg long towards the ceiling. Pull yourself back through your plank. Hold one last time. Knees down. We'll take a second off our hands, but we will not take a second off our core. So your core is a very essential part to your handstand. So keep practicing these hollow holds. We'll be lying on our back. Knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Palms up at your sides. Step number 1 is getting the ribs to the hips, meaning keeping that low back the way it is right now. We're going to lift the head and shoulders off the floor. I like to imagine a giant stapler. It's a little vicious. Coming and stapling your ribs to your hips here. You still maintain that same spine, and we're holding and breathing underneath that shield. Let's hold that for another 3, 2, soft landing. We'll be repeating that and adding some steps or staying there. Here we go. Shoulders lift off the floor, connecting the ribs to the hips. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you lift one leg off the floor, or 2 legs. Either you stay here, or you reach one leg long, bring it back to center, alternate, or reach both legs long, hold. You'll notice now we start to look like we're in a handstand. The last thing we have to do is put those arms overhead. Again, I'm just going to keep my arms on my side because of my microphone, but arms towards overhead, reaching to the far wall, squeezing the legs tight together, pointing the toes, breathing underneath for 5, 4. I could roll you like a log. I could pick you up to a handstand. Everything comes back in. Whoa. Take your time off that.
Woo.
Oh, it's nice down here.
It is nice down here.
But
And let's just do our first zoo exhibit here, continuing Lauren's down dog movements, and we'll elephant crawl around the room, stretching the hamstrings, and again, checking in with those wrists. Go ahead.
For that down dog position, let's first, on all fours, lightly tip the tailbone to the ceiling. That doesn't mean crank that low back all the way. Just a little bit of a tip, but keep your ab brace. Now, slowly lift the knees and up off the floor. Again, don't necessarily press the heels to the floor, but slowly try to straighten those legs. If you can keep the tip and you can get those heels to the floor, bonus marks. Then we'll take an opposite hand and foot step. And then our ultimate goal is to keep both heels down as we're taking our steps in these directions. We're contralaterally walking, meaning opposite hand and foot. We're peeling the hands away. Let's try to take a couple steps backwards, flicking the floor away, as we do when we do our handstand to press ourselves up to tall. Last 1 or 2 steps here. We'll keep our feet together. We'll walk our hands to our feet, tuck our chin, and slowly stack ourselves up. When we do this, let's use the muscles on the front and the back of the spine to bring ourselves all the way up to
Tally tall.
Tally tall.
Tally tall. Now that we're in open space, let's continue to take some time off those hands as we continue to work on our balances and warm up the hips. Pull a single leg up to that ankle or coup de pied position and point those toes. Condition ourselves to do that in our ballet and our handstand practice. Now keep your standing hip pushing forward, and with the foot that's off the floor, try to get that knee to touch across the body without twisting. Then, with the hips and the headlights staying forward, open that knee towards the side. That could be a nice piriformis butt glute stretch right there, and with control, close. Feel that effort to use your muscles as you adduct or bring that knee towards that midline. Are you squeezing that standing leg butt cheek? And then open to the side. Let's repeat that one more time as we go close to middle, cramp those glutes, open to the side, keep the hips forward, and then return the knee to the front, get the toes to touch lining up, and then it's the hips that squeeze to help straighten that knee. Repeating on the other side, there will be that weight shift, so switch to the other side, hold for a quick second, and cramp your standing leg glutes. Then pull the knee towards across the midline, and then out to the side with those toes pointed. And with effort, pull on those adductors, those groin muscles to bring the knee back to the midline, and then open again to the side. We do have that balance aid to the side. If you feel you need one, please use it. Work on the balance and use it as a little bit of a friend versus the crushing grip. But here we go. We'll go one more time to the side, one more time to the middle. Get those toes to touch and push your hips through. Full glute cramps.
Excellent. We thought we'd start our handstand practice today with
Kick-ups.
So that's what we'll start. I'll start with that tripod entry. Ian will start with that tripod entry. We'll review that and we'll go on the I go, you go pattern. So you're either watching Ian or going with Ian and then watching while I go. Take a little break off your wrists in between. For that tripod entry, we have 2 hands on the floor, 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. We're going to grip the floor with our hands, straighten the elbows, shift our weight over top of the wrists, and then let's just start with baby air. It's probably your first kick up of the day, so just get off the floor. I do like to scissor my legs here, so I'm alternating my takeoff leg, but if you don't, just make sure you do try to switch legs here. We're breathing. We're trying to get
close to the window.
We're trying to get that butt towards overhead here, all the while maintaining those nice straight elbows, as well as that hollow shape. Breathe, shake it out. You'll have time to practice more, so just take a rest.
Look for lots of sets overall, but perhaps not a lot of reps for each set. It allows us to stay fresh, controlled, and allows us to check in with all parts of the body, the head, the neck, the wrists, among others. Lauren's legs are so pointed, they're even flying off the screen there. So again, point those toes, use that energy through the floor, and when she comes up, actually pushing the floor away like shooting a basketball for a free throw.
That's how you shoot a basketball, right?
Money, just
Both
like
hands?
that, just like that. How does that feel? I'd like to do that one more time, and oftentimes the second time through, we're more ready. So check in.
More ready.
More ready.
So place your hands on the floor. I really like to straighten my elbows, and then I like to shift that weight forward. If you're nervous about falling all the way over, one, practicing your cartwheels would be a great way to get out of these handstand bails. But two, leaving a leading, or the opposite of leading, a lagging leg behind you so that it'll pull you back down to where you came from.
That's right. And there's no rush. Take your time. We've been sharing these skills online for the better part of 3 years. We've been working on these skills for the better part of 10. It takes some time, so be patient and enjoy that journey. If the handstand here is a little bit beyond what you're ready for, go back to those crawls. Perhaps even go back to those hollow holds. And as Lauren's holding the handstand tension, maybe at home we're just repping that core out and breathing. Let's go back to the standing legs here and work on those hips. This time, pull a single leg up to the ankle, and then continue to reach up towards that knee. If the knee goes high, that means the hip stays low. From here this time, let's open to the side. Check. Then we'll turn in on that hip, hiding the inseam. That could be a glute cramp here. And then pull the knee back together with control. Repeat one more time as you pull to the front. Squeeze your standing leg glutes, there's a couple of them there. Push the hips forward. And then we'll turn in on the hip, making sure not to hike the hip. And then pull the knee together. And with the knees matching, slowly straighten the leg. And did it hover there? Maybe that means you're so tall on the other leg, which is a good thing. Repeat on the other side. We could do this from low. Let's try to challenge ourselves here today from that high hip flexion position. And then we'll open the knee to the side. Squeeze your standing leg bum cheek. And now this is that internal rotation on the hip. We'll pull to match those knees together. Pulling through to the front. That's a slight cow tip in the hip there to compress the femur. Then we'll open up to the side, reaching internally rotating on the hip, and then pulling back. Get so tall on the standing leg that this leg might just hover when you bring it through. A little shake. The second variation for the handstand that we like to share is the step-in. Team Lauren, go first. I'll describe. It's that hollow shape. It's a toe point. It's a shrug right away. And take some time, maybe some baby airs first.
Whoops, I didn't baby air.
Baby airs if you wish. But again, work to your own abilities here too. Climb that ladder gradually. Take your time. Beautiful hold there, Lauren. And it's that scissors switch as you're up. Gives you a little bit more of that hang time as well. And again, keep your reps fairly modest. We'll do a couple more sets of this here today again. And then shake it out. Your
so when
turn,
you're entering that handstand from this this step-in position, try to imagine that hollow position we had on the floor before you enter. So the ribs to the hips, the abs are braced, you're reaching your arms up towards the ceiling, and you already have nice pointed toes. Obviously, they're gonna change a little bit, but try to get that toe point even here before you take off. As you're going into this as well, think about getting up and over something versus attacking the floor at a direct angle.
Attack, direct, take your time. It takes some figuring out to do, but then you do get those beautiful lines like that. I think I did about 4 or 5 repetitions there, and keep your volume again pretty low. We'll do lots of work here. And how are the hands? It's a lot of work on those hands, but essential. It's the handstand, so feel the fingertips. Hollow out like Lauren said. Point those toes, and that's why we practice our cartwheel, to practice those safe bailing efforts. Do one more, you got one more in there. Hollow, tuck. See, there you go. Now it's her turn to my turn, one more to go.
Her turn.
Your turn.
Your turn.
Our turn.
Ian's turn here. So as he goes here again, opening up those hands, and you should also be thinking about a soft landing on your hands. So just like we do toes, ball, heel, you're landing fingertip, callus line, palm, right? Absorbing the floor. And then as you go back up to standing, you're going to push the floor away. And again, use your fingers to get yourself back up to tall. One of the things we like to practice in studio is students always ending up back into that standing position. So really pushing the floor away. And if that's what you focus on for one round,
check,
gold
check.
star.
Repeating those circles in the hips, but this time reversing the circle. With the knees parallel, as to not bring the knee forward, gently kick your bum as a hamstring curl. Then tuck under like a cat or posteriorly tucking the hips and reach the leg to the back, extending the hip. Then reach the knee to the side and the foot goes underneath of the hip. Then we'll bring it to the front and repeat that pattern again. Squeeze the standing leg, extend the hip to the back, making sure that the low back feels safe and the hamstrings feel okay, but it's the glutes, it's the butt and the balance. Let's do that one more time here as you cramp that standing leg, where you reach to the back, then externally rotating in the hip, the foot will find itself underneath the hips, the knee wide, the knee front, then ride the leg down, get the toes to touch, and it's the hips that help extend that knee. Repeating 3 reps on the other side. We could also do that nice and low down here, but let's try to climb up a little bit towards that knee. Then extend the hip, reaching to the back, then the foot comes underneath of the hip, the knee goes wide, and those lateral bum muscles might say hello. The tuck under the hips there helps protect the low back, so ensure that you're using your glute to reach back, even if it's with your brain. Some lovely touches of your own butt could help that too. Return the knee front, and the final one here, we have a slight tuck of the hip, working on the balance, using your aid as you need, and then once you're out of room at the back, the knee moves itself towards the side, from the side to the front, and from the front, down, and push the hip through, and shake. How are the wrists? Always allow yourself that check-in. We're progressing our practice here to using that wall behind us, and I guess I'll go first.
So we're going back to the wall climb, which we did start on last week. And remember, here at Bars and Bells, we like to face the wall. Why? Because it's harder and it's better for your line of your handstand. It puts you in that hollow position and avoids that banana sway back. So right now we're pressing the floor away. You've already started climbing. Let's go a 15-second interval here that started already 5 seconds ago. Climbing the wall. You might not be this vertical or perpendicular to the floor. You might be out a little bit more on an angle. That is all okay. For 3, 2, as long as you can get up and get out safely.
Get up and get out with strength and safety. And shake it out. Continue to breathe. Right there, I was looking at the wall behind. Oftentimes my full handstand is that Team Lauren climbs the wall. I do look at the floor. Both places are right. Pick the one that works for you today. So Team Lauren there, we have pointed toes, and Lauren's just casually pulling those toes off the wall, finding that hollow shape. I didn't look at the clock, so I'm going to say it's 5 more seconds to go here. 5, 4, looking awesome, and then coming down. I go, you go, then I go, you go again. So let's do that again. Performance enhancing tips include tucking shirts in.
So when we climb the wall here, trying again to maintain that hollow position. One thing I really like to focus on the wall, because it's really hard to focus on in space, is what my hands do when I'm trying to balance on them. So just thinking about your feet, if you were leaning too far forward, your finger toes would push you back. If you were leaning too far back, you'd press into your heels to try to bring yourself forward. 3, 2, relate that same push-pull action in the hands as you do to the feet, and that's what will help you in space to balance.
If we feel that we're going front or back in that handstand, we try to correct with the core. Oftentimes those adjustments are too big. It's a little bit more subtle a lot of the time using those fingertips. So now I will firmly look at that clock, and it's already been 5 seconds. And Lauren is in that gorgeous handstand. She's completely off the wall. She's maintaining that hollow shape, and it takes time. So take your time with that. And maybe it's one foot and then the other, and then that has been 15 seconds, Lauren. So take your time. Come down and shake. Whew. All right. Let's work on a little Shiko squat here, continuing to work on some weight transfers, and then a little bit of a stretch for those legs as well. Start in that gentle turned out position underneath your hips, and then step out just a little bit wider. In this movement, we'll pull ourselves down with energy, and then we'll push to a single standing leg, finding the ankle. Then point the leg and those toes, and then land in the middle, and find the other leg with our glute cramp. And point, and down. Again, doing this type of exercise with the chair out front might help that balance. And then could we find the knee, and point, and land. And same thing, go ankle first, and then climb towards that knee, and point. This time through, let's find that knee right away, toes point, out to the side. Last time for the set, find the knee, point the leg, land in the middle of those feet in the squat, and then push through, cramping glutes, and finishing tall.
All right.
Second set.
Oh. It's our second set to climb the wall. I was ready to have free time. It's our second set of climbing the wall here. So we'll start that upside down position in 3, 2, walk yourself up. Using that walk up as well to build your strength. And maybe that's what you do. You walk as close as you can, and then you walk back out, and you walk as close as you can, and you walk back out, as demonstrated by Inchwormian here. For another 5, 3.
That's harder though, Lauren.
Okay, well, it's harder apparently. 2. Maybe that's why we don't do it.
Nice. So again, doing those simple things are often the more challenging things. So take your time.
Since Ian modeled it, I don't have to.
That's right. So taking your time going up, time started just a couple seconds ago. And here today, we're just looking for that consistent 15-second hold. In our experiences in the past, we've tried to hold this position for upwards of a minute. Why? Because it works on those small connecting places like wrists and elbows and shoulders, and always working on the core strength. Team Lauren, that's been 15 seconds. Take your time.
I figured.
Come on down. And if we do want to save some energy for some free time here, let's just leave that as our last set on the wall. We'll do one more little effort on our Chico squat here, and then final handstand thing. Okay, so step to the first position, if you will, then open to the side. We'll pull ourselves down, and it's just the same thing, but could we find the knee right away, point, and then land. We'll do about 6 reps here. Find the knee, point, land. That's 2. This is 3, point. Land with control. Same thing, it's that toe ball heel landing. And for the one more here, reach out to the side and hold. And could we just incorporate a little bit of our side bend here? And then land. And for the final one, hold the leg out to the side. Little bit of our side bend. Woo! And then find the squat. Push through. And to be save enough energy here in those arms and body parts to do our crazy minute.
So for 1 minute of free time, you might be working on holding that hollow hold. If you want to hold a minute's handstand, I suggest you be able to hold a minute of a hollow hold. Maybe start in intervals. Or you're practicing your plank to your down dog. Or you're practicing walking like an elephant, wall climbs. Whatever your free time practice is, kick ups. The options are endless. Drinking coffee. Whatever you may choose, let's do it for a minute, starting in about 8 seconds here. It might get a little quiet, but we're still here. It's still live.
Here.
In 5, 3, 2, minute of fun.
Nice, Lauren. That's 30 seconds. I'm gonna shake it out and look to do it again here. I want to be like Lauren. I want to be like Lauren.
I didn't get into that right away. We still have about 10 seconds left, so take your time. I think I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. My arms are feeling a little bit work today. All those climbs, maybe those presses the other day. Whatever you're doing, you're finishing in 3, 2.
So close.
Safe landing.
Oh, that's okay.
So close to what?
Well, so close to finish those last 3 seconds.
Oh, sorry.
But no matter what you choose, finish with integrity. Finish with integrity and enjoy a little bit of a shake and a wiggle. Half hours go by so quick and the weeks turn around almost even quicker. So this has been week 4 of week 6 through the kettlebell on Tuesdays, the bar on Thursdays, and now our bodyweight practice on Saturday.
Thanks for joining us through these past weeks. Let us know how they've been going and still stick with us for the next 2. Anytime in the archive on YouTube, as well, check out our website, our Patreon page, and make sure, of course, you like and subscribe on the tube. Thanks for joining us today, and until next time,
Take care.
stay strong.
Let's train soon.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.